We're on campus here with Brent Barry. I mean, yeah, exactly. For me, this was great. And you picked the spot. Tell people where we're at right now.
We're sitting outside the theater, which is where I wish I had spent more time. I actually always wanted to do a play while I was in school, but basketball and other things sort of took time aside for me getting in the theater. I don't. Should I mention that I'm a theater goer?
Well, I think
Sometimes
that's okay.
you can't mention it. So too late.
Two-time NBA champion and theater goer. But I have inside information from Ann Strickers. You did not theater, but you did some stuff in St. Mary's, Walnut Creek.
I did some stuff at St. Mary's. Yeah, back in the 6th grade. Performances that live somewhere on VHS tape somewhere.
Right.
Yes,
Sister K?
Sister K in sixth grade, Sergeant K.
Right.
I'm glad we have Ann here to bring these things up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other thing, once I got to De La Salle, actually, I was involved with the morning show here, which was something that we used to do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We used to do the homeroom announcements, and so my sophomore year, I actually did it for 3 years while I was here. I'd come into the admissions office and make the announcements as to what was going on in and around campus on any specific day, and we kind of brought that show to its highest lows, I think, at some point.
Yeah, highest lows. No, your sense of humor is great, Brent. But I'm thinking, did you use that for your audition tape for NBA TV?
Actually, I should have. I think that's kind of where things started. I not only did that stuff, but I led a lot of student assemblies while I was here at De La Salle, and I just so enjoyed my experience here, and it allowed me to really figure out who I was and to be comfortable in my own skin, and you know, enter to learn and leave to serve. And I've always held my education and my time here at De La Salle as something very, very special. And if I have the opportunity to be back here, it doesn't come along as often as I'd like, but whenever I step back here on campus, I get that same genuine, authentic feeling, and I do love it here at De La Salle.
Actually, why are you here today? I mean, you're helping Scooter. I mean, I was in there. I mean, you're retired, 2 championships, but you're the kids. I mean, they all look up to you to tell you what you were doing today. It's wonderful.
Well, back helping my brother Scooter out run this Barry Basic Training Basketball Camp. I think for him it's a bit of a learning year, the first year to try and get things up and running and get off the ground since he's back here in the Bay Area. But I think that he would like to, and of course then in connection with that, we would like to, as brothers, both John and Drew and myself, come back and help Scooter out to get this basketball camp up and running at a place that was very special to all of us for various reasons. And so I'm back here on campus to help out with the 3rd week of camp and try to provide some instruction and connect with the kids in some ways. And so we appreciate the parents who have their kids come out and be at camp this week.
Absolutely. And then the first week is really special. The 4 of you were together, and that I don't think that ever. Scooter says that never happens, or.
It happens rarely, but for it to happen where we were all back here in the gym, where we all spent our high school careers, and we all, most of us had brought our children with us. I mean, I have 2 boys, Quinn and Cade, and my youngest is 8 years old, and I got to pick Cade up at 8 years old and have him throw down a ball on the same hoop that I had my first ever career dunk on. So that was pretty special. But all of us being back on campus and things like that, it was a very nice afternoon.
Yeah, and also Steve Coach Emilio was here that day too.
Yeah, that kind of brought the mood down a little bit, actually. No. Coach.
Tell people who Steve Coach Emilio is.
Steve Coach Emilio coached my brother Scooter while he was here in school, and kind of became a secondary father figure for all of us. Just a genuine God-fearing man who has a huge heart and a huge enthusiasm for the game, a massive competitive spirit, and has been at DVC for 25 years coaching over there. But a great friend to the family.
Maybe this is like NBA TV.
Filmmaking, yes, it's very, very much like a broadcast on a Sunday night.
I had a great question. I forgot. Well, we'll go back to this though. Scooter went and visited you in Las Vegas. You did a yeoman's work. You did what? 3 days?
3 games and 3 days for the NBA Summer League, which now takes place in Las Vegas, and it's not Vegas the way that you would ever want Vegas to be. You know, when somebody says, hey, you got to go to Vegas for work, you're thinking, okay, maybe we'll have some free time, catch a show, sit down at a table. none of that. Doing 3 games in 3 days for NBA TV is a lot of homework on some guys who you might not ever see again. But then again, it's a great opportunity to watch the young talent and some of the top draft choices in the NBA start really their baby steps and their first steps into their profession. So I enjoy doing that every year.
Absolutely. And meeting the young kids there. No, but I did hear a rumor that there was a special musical performance.
Well, one of the nights that we were there, our company did have a rap party, which is strange to me because rap party usually means you're done with work. However, we had work the next day, so it did not go late into the night like everybody was hoping for. But there was somebody hired to perform out there, a guy named Kelly James, who's a Manhattan Beach guitar player. He came out for NBA TV and for Turner Sports. And I guess somebody had leaked to him that I play some guitar, and he invited me up on stage, and so I played a couple songs with him. So I had my first Vegas show, which obviously you heard about, so it went over like gangbusters.
Yeah, I don't know how I heard it, but yeah, I heard about it, and now whoever watches this knows about it.
Yeah.
Just how the word of mouth spreads. I'm here with you because of Steve Cochimilio.
Yes.
I'm over at the Giant Chef Burger across from BBC, having a nice meal. Cochimilio walks in. Because what I do in real life, I tape like the board of supervisors. I tape the board of supervisors, city council meetings, and
exciting work, Brian.
Exactly. See, but as I said, it pays, and but I said I more enjoy doing the sports. And I see him there. I said, I'm putting the show back together. Would you like to be on? And he says, sure. So I contact him. We do it. Scooter sees it. Scooter likes it, and then Scooter tells me, when you're good, I mean...
6 degrees here.
Exactly.
Good.
And I don't know what the next domino is. Maybe the guy, who's on your shirt here? I mean...
Yeah, maybe we can get to Chris Mullen.
What's Chris Mullen episode?
Maybe we can talk to Chris at some point. He's eyeless and mouthless, but yes.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect interview. But, no, but I'm trying to think what else to touch on. I mean, you played... What, like 15 years, and also, as Scooter said, you got better. I mean, you were good at De La Salle, better at Oregon State, and it's the work ethic. Talk about that. Also, it helped. What did you eat up at Oregon State? You grew at Oregon State, I think.
I did. Eating those meals at the cafeteria, you could stay all day long there. Right. So, and when you're in Oregon and it's raining outside, it's best to just spend time indoors. So, right. Indoors with food, that's a lot of calorie intake. Yeah. Boy, I don't know. I mean, just basketball it's a journey, and it's not unlike life. If you can find a way to stay in it long enough, you're going to learn new things. And my playing career was fantastic. I enjoyed so much of it. There was very few moments where I ever got down. I always looked at it as a great opportunity to learn and grow and to do things. Like, when's the next time I'm going to go to Milwaukee in December? Right. I don't think if I had a regular job I'd be thrilled to go do that. But with the NBA gig, I got a chance to be in Milwaukee in December. Exactly. So
and Salt Lake City in February.
Salt Lake City and Detroit, Michigan, and I don't know that I'm ever going to get back to those places.
Detroit was good memories, I think.
Yeah, I get good memories in Detroit.
That was the first championship, I think.
Right, we played the Pistons in 2005 while I was with San Antonio, and ended up beating them in the 7th game back in San Antonio to celebrate on our own floor, which was a tremendous evening. We have Robert Horry to thank for that. In Game 5 in Detroit, hit a huge three-pointer that propelled us in that win. But just very fortunate, to be honest with you, and have made a lot of great friends and a lot of great connections that I think throughout the rest of my life that I'll always have. And basketball has been a huge part of not only my upbringing, but in what I think I'm going to continue to do in the future. I just don't see it not being a part of what it is that my life has to do with as we move along.
Right, exactly. We have like another 2 minutes. You have to go eat lunch with Terry Edson. I mean, tell people who Terry Edson is.
Terry Edson, longtime coach and athletic director at De La Salle High School, and was defensive coordinator. And now movie star with the picture coming out in August when the game stands tall. I'm actually very excited to see that film. I think Jim Caviezel plays Bob Ladouceur, and he's a great actor, and there's a lot of excitement around campus and certainly in the Bay Area to see this film on the big screen. But Terry was my Religion II teacher here at Oregon State. We had a great, at De La Salle. If he was my religion teacher at Oregon State, I would have transferred. Exactly. I would have transferred immediately.
That would have been very strange. I mean,
but Terry and I spent some great times here on campus. We had a great connection and continue really a a long-standing friendship, so I'm looking forward today to catching up with him.
Genoa delicatessen.
We may go there. I'm definitely going to steal some ravs from Genoa. I always take those home whenever I'm in town. It's one of my favorite things to have.
Terry Edson was the first domino. He was the first guy interviewed in February. And so, yeah, Terry Edson, and then that led to Justin Allenbaugh, and I don't know who's next. We'll figure this out. I mean, I was joking with Scooter. It would be very rare. I was talking about, joking, the four Barry brothers, because Drew's over 40 now. Yes. You guys joined a rec league under aliases.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Something tells me we'd be exposed at some point, but that would be great. I was wondering, are you going to go to the premiere of the movie? Are you going to go do some work?
Will you be there up at the pavilion?
I've been trying to figure out if I can get back up here. I've been invited to come back, and I'm hoping that I can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so if you're there, Ann and I will be there. I mean,
but you guys for sure are going to be covering it, and
exactly. We're doing it live right now. We'll just talk to Leo, and you put a good word in for us. We got it. I mean,
okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be awesome, and you could help us that night.
It'd be great to get some green carpet coverage.
That's it.
During the film, and see if you guys can track down a lot of the people that are involved with the picture, and certainly talking to Coach Ladd and everybody else.
No, that'd be great, Brent. I mean, that I was telling Ann, all roads lead there, and so yeah, we'll get your. We're just doing this live now. We'll get your contact. We'll figure this out and how we do this. I mean, and I just can't thank you. I mean, I'm not a superstar, but I mean, you played all those years. I mean, you're a regular guy. I mean, you are 6'7", so you do stand out. But I mean, but when you go surfing, you're known as Bones. I mean, some guys don't. The guys that know you know what you did, but most guys probably don't know your background.
No, that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then they can know me for what it is that I'm doing and not what it is that I did. Exactly. So that always sits well with me.
Right. Also, Brent, the surfing. I mean, you had a good story. You were telling me yesterday that you want somebody ahead of you because of the. I mean, a good friend.
Yeah. Well, in Southern California, over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of great white shark sightings near an area where I live, and so when I paddle out with my buddies, depending on where the recent great white sighting reports come from, if the sharks are to the south, I always paddle to the north, and so I'll stay one step ahead of them to their right or left side depending on the sightings. And they always ask me, catch a wave and they're waiting out there, and I'll come out right behind them and then move to one side or another consistently on that day. And they always go, what are you doing? I say, well, the last sighting was to the south, so they're going to get you first.
It's all about the scouting report.
Scouting report.
Did you learn that from Popovich?
Yeah, that and a few Serbian curse words from Coach Pop with my time in San Antonio. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. What's he? I mean, I just see him talking to the media in the locker room. You're not sworn. Is there a story you can share, like a Popovich story that no one knows about? That's.
I'll just give you more just a general sense of that. I mean, it's been said enough that Pop, the way he's perceived through the media, is a real hard ass and a disciplinarian and short and curt, and it's just not his nature. I mean, I'm very thankful for my time in San Antonio, but I also know what happens behind closed doors and how it is that a successful franchise stays that way based on not only its character, but its continued, I guess, accountability to one another. And that doesn't just mean that the coach yells at the players and then they do what he says. It means that the coaches and the players are together working towards a common goal. And so once you have a chance to be behind closed doors and spend time with not only Pop but his entire coaching staff, that general sensation permeates the organization.
Absolutely. I lost my train of thought. See, that's the thing. You got on NBA TV, you have to have follow-up questions. And I'm trying. There's something about the Spurs. I mean. Just the fact they've been so good for so long. I think R.C. Buford. I mean, it's all the consistency, and then obviously the big three. But then guys like you, Robert Ory. I mean,
this year alone, you talk all the contributions that the supporting cast that the Spurs have had throughout their reign here of 20 years in the NBA have continued excellence, and this year guys like Danny Green and Boris Diaw and Patty Mills and
St. Mary's.
Yeah, St. Mary's own Patty Mills just stepping up and having the opportunity, and that's the kind of accountability that I'm referring to, a selflessness amongst the stars, and then a general positive supportive environment for everybody else to try and find the best that they can get out of one another, and that's exactly what San Antonio has done, and it's really come full circle, because it used to be a team that was considered real boring and slow, and if you look at some of the way, I'll go into NBA TV mode, but certainly in terms of the pace of play and the way that Pop consistently built his teams around defensive prowess, it has shifted to a faster paced game with more three-point shooting and a little bit more in terms of quicker shots and earlier shot selection, and not so much post dominance with Tim Duncan, but it's the same formula, and it's been working quite well, and hopefully it's something that, you know, as I get a little older and start to step into other avenues of basketball, whether that be as a general manager or a head coach in the future, which I'm hoping to do, I'll steal as much as I can from what it is I learned from Pop.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, Brent. And also, you still live in San Antonio.
I do live still in San Antonio, and I spend my time there during the school year and the basketball season, and then once that's over with, I escape the heat as quickly as possible to try and get to the West Coast.
Exactly. Okay, so Brent, that's what we'll do. We'll end this interview so we can go. When I do tape a board of supervisors, they have a closed session. You, Ann, and I will go into closed session, and we'll figure out how we're going to cover this green carpet. See, okay, and
make a few phone calls.
Yeah. Oh yes, the Ann Strickers. Oh, teaches exactly. Ann St. Mary's, Walnut Creek. Now teaches over at St. Ignatius. And well, yeah, what is your one sports moment you remember from De La Salle? Stands out.
From De La Salle, one sports moment from here. Sounds weird, but I think the one sports moment that stands out for me at school has nothing to do with anything that I did, just what I saw and experienced when we lost to Monte Vista.
So I'm in contact with Rob Forrester.
That was one of the most, I don't know, at that age, I guess impressionable at that age, and I'm trying to recall the year. Was it my
1987.
87, sophomore year. 87, and I can't. I was 87, so it'd be my freshman year.
Right.
I can't remember a time when I was as devastated following some type of sporting event just on the inside that I had nothing to do with, not a hand in.
Right.
But when the referees made what I would deem a questionable call regarding whether or not we had got into the end zone to finish off the Monte Vista Mustangs in that game.
And actually,
and Rob Forster clearly gets to the pylon.
Right. In fact,
and
I'm sorry to interrupt.
this has nothing to do with me, by the way. So I don't know if this is helping Ann.
What's that? No, I talk about this. In fact, I said I'm in contact with Rob Forrester. I talked to Terry Edson off camera. He knows the ref's name, and the ref was out of position. But then when the ref was at the 5-yard line, he was supposed to be in the end zone. Right. But then when I talked to Terry on camera, he forgets. And so maybe at lunch you get the ref's name. We'll figure this out. And also, but in fairness, Monte Vista, they did outplay us. But we would have won. Rob Forrester, I'm going to get him. I just have a 2-minute interview. Rob, did you hit the pylon? Yes.
Done. Okay, all right, I will tell you one moment that for me that I still latch on to as one of the great things was having played Bishop O'Dowd my senior year with my brother Drew being a junior. We were at the Oakland Coliseum. We played Bishop O'Dowd in just kind of a knockdown, drag-out game. We did not play that well in the game, but my brother Drew was fouled. I think it was 0.3 or 0.4 seconds to go on the clock in the Oakland Coliseum, and had to make 2 free throws to win the game. And we had, again, just kind of scratched and clawed, got ourselves into a position to win, and to watch my little brother, have that opportunity in the Oakland Coliseum, where obviously we grew up watching our father play ball, and his number retired in the rafters, and looking back on that moment and him knocking him down was a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe I don't know when it could be next time. Just your memories. I talked to Scooter about this. Just growing up there at the Coliseum. I mean,
right.
Clifford Ray. I mean, tell people who Clifford Ray is.
Yeah, Clifford Ray was basically my dad's goon during his playing days as an undersized center, but a massive screen setter, and him and my dad had a very special relationship during their career. But while I was growing up, I always had, much like Linus in Charles Schultz, Snoopy comics and Peanuts comics, I always carried a little blue blanket with me, and I had to give it up at some point. My dad was like, come on, you're getting old. You don't need that thing anymore. You got to give it away. And I gave my blanket to Clifford Ray.
Right.
And I've seen him on occasion over the past 4 or 5 years. He still has it.
Okay, yeah.
He still has it. Yeah. But yeah, Clifford was very, very special when I was a very, very small child, but we had a great relationship.
And I think he's an assistant coach somewhere.
Johan was for a while. I don't know if he's affiliated with a team now, but certainly for many, many years was floating around different teams as a special assistant.
No, that NBA TV's working out for you. We talk about an assistant job, so we know one job that's open. Clifford Ray's old job.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, okay. No, I can't thank you enough, but this is just the beginning, and we'll figure out when you're in town what we can do more. But you have great ideas and smart. I'm smart. We'll figure this out.
And smarter than you, but yes,
yeah,
Brian.
Exactly.
I knew it was a weed, but
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brian.
it. You got it.
This is awesome.